What's up guys, Slash here. Today we're looking at Dr.Hedo. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. So here we are, we have Dr.Hedo. Now this deck is so much fun. It's very aggressive and there's two ways you can play it. You can go a little bit more mid-range and you can add things like Topo and a little bit of surging attacks and things like that. Or, if you want to, you can go a bit more fast-paced and aggro and you can run things such as the Super Saiyan 3 Gokus. Now for my build, I'm going for a bit more mid-range, and I'll show you what you can switch around, how the deck works, and we'll jump into the turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's start at least with looking at your options. Now, if you want to go a more aggressive version, what you can do is you can take out the three Gamma 2s here, and you can replace them with the Super Saiyan 3 Goku one-hit wonders. Because your cards, when they restand, which we'll get into, will minus your opponent's cards, these are easy to play, and then this will just bring out more damage for free. Now the other way you can do it is, we also have some other options here you could put down if you don't have the money for it, or you just want to find some sort of way to stop them from counterplaying you, because that is a bit of the downside with this deck in general, is they can counterplay you very easy since you have a lot of 2 costs and 3 costs and things like that, a lot of 10 and 15Ks. But let's jump into the leader itself. So when this card attacks, you look at the top 5, you add a red ribbon to your hand, shuffle your deck. Now to awaken, you either need to be 4 or less life, or you need to have a Gamma 1 and 2 in play. Then you get to draw 2, go to 6, and then flip the card over. Now to get your Gammas into play, what we're doing is, on turn 1 you want to charge a Z energy, and you want to try and get yourself your Z extra card here. Now this will Z stack 1 cell here, and what you're doing is, on turn 2, you have the limit 1 activate main here. You get to play a Gamma 1 with an energy cost less than or equal to your current energy, and then you get to play it from your hand in rest mode. Now what you're trying to play is you want to get this one on the field. So your unawakened side, since you can just search top 5 for any red ribbon, you want to try and get this one in your hand and one of these in your hand. You don't actually need that much search with this deck because it's quite consistent for how many Gammas, 1s, and 2s you're going to see. But this one can be a little bit of a nuisance if you don't see it early. But yeah, but what you're doing is you're being able to grab your Gamma 1 onto the field from your Z extra card. Then this will be played in rest mode. Then you tap 1 energy, you play your Gamma 2. Don't forget to swing with your unawakened side of your leader first. That way you get to continue with your search to find more of these cards. And then from that point, now that you have a Gamma 1 and 2 in play, you can now awaken. And on your awakened side, you have this cool effects here from your leader. Now, during your turn, all your Gamma 1 and 2s, 2 or less, gain barrier. Now, that's just during your turn, which is amazing though. It's really good defense to try and stop your opponent from just like KOing your card in mid-battle, things like that. And of course, when your red ribbon Gamma 2 attacks, you get to draw 2 cards by discarding one. So that is an amazing effect. So if you sequence it right, by turn 2, you can attack with your unawakened side of your leader. You get to draw from that, from top 5. Then you awaken, then you attack with your Gamma 2, then you get to discard a card from your hand and draw 2 more cards. So that's very, very good. And then of course, from your awakening itself, you get to draw 2 cards. Then we have the activate main here. Now choose up to 1 Gamma 1 with an energy cost of 3 or less and switch it to active mode. So what happens is, we've played this card in rest mode, it's going to switch back to active mode, you get to pop off this effect here, where when this card is switched to active mode, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and it gets minus 5k for the turn. Then on top of that, because we've already attacked with our Gamma 2, this now gets this ability where this gets to restand. So it's pretty damn crazy. In like turn 2, turn 3, this deck can pop off in damage. Especially turn 3, because we'll get into that very shortly. But let's do a little bit of an overview of the cards now so you can see what they all do. Now this one is a bit of your searcher, so your top 5, you can search for something. We also have our magenta here. Now the magenta we're going to be using for a later game. You want to keep one in your hand, or if you want to, you can either play this for 1, draw a card, and of course you can use this as a double strike, because this is practically a chumper for the deck. Then of course we also have our 3 Gamma 2s here. Now this card is actually pretty nutty, because you can attack with this card, it'll be rested. Use your effect to restand your Gamma 1, which will now restand this card. When this card is restood, you would attack with it. Even if your opponent counters, you still get the effect here that will pop off. At the end of battle in which this card attacked, place this card in its owner's drop. Additionally, if your life is at 3 or more, deal 1 damage to your opponent. That's pretty damn good. So even if they counter, that effect will still pop off at the end. Now, we also have some other gammas here in general. We have our Gamma 1 and 2. This card is so damn good. It is going to be Activate Battle. You pay 1. You get to play this. You get to draw a card. You give 10k to the card that's in battle. And then on play, this will give 5 to another card for the turn. So what you can do is you can end up playing something, swinging for a double strike, Activate Battle, play this, give it plus 15k, and this will just swing for game. It's pretty damn crazy. Then we also have our, of course, the Gamma 1 here, where we've already looked over. But of course, when you attack with this card, you can boost with the card from your drop, which is just really handy. We also have the Gamma 1, the other version. Now, this is what you'll do on turn 3. Just make sure you don't overfill your field with your Gamma 1 and 2s, because you don't want to empty your whole hand of them, and then they just remove all your Gammas, and now you're left with nothing. So it's all about pacing out the deck and what cards you have, so you don't overuse them. Now, this card is really cool. When this card is switched to active mode by Dr.Hedo, draw 1, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 10 for the turn. And then the same effect as well, when this card attacks, you combo with a 5k card from your drop. Then, of course, for our other ones, we have this one, which we saw before. It helps restand this card as well. We have our Dr.Hedo. Now, this is also really handy on your turn 1 if you're not seeing a Gamma in your hand, or turn 2. You can boost with this card, and then because you've boosted with this card, you can pay 1, and you get to play a Gamma 1 or Gamma 2, both red with 15k power or less, with the energy cost less than or equal to your energy from your deck, then shuffle your deck. So if you're just not seeing it in hand, you can use this to help just bring it out sooner. Then we also have our 2 Cell Max. This is really handy for your late game. We'll get into that later with the magenta. We also have our Say in Use. I think it's just a better option because you get to filter a bit more of cards, because you're going to get to 4 or less fairly quickly with this deck. We have 3 Trunks Deluge of Power. It's just good. We all know it by now. It's pretty much a plus 10k onto a battle card. So that's just going to help us swing for game, or make sure that our attacks are actually following through. We also have 3 Defeating Demons, because we can charge our Z energy pretty quick, because we get to boost with cards from our drop, so we can just charge them to our Z energy. We also have our 2 Surging Attack Brollies. We should know it by now. It's a 25k critical. You give your leader Overlord, you bottom deck the card, you draw 1 card. It's really good. It's really, really good. Now, for the mid-range option, we're going with 2 Topos, just because you can extend your game pretty late and you don't have to pay that many energy. So it's a very good way to stall out the game if your opponent's just, using dormants and things like that to slow you down. We also have 3 Testing Oppositions and 3 After Image Techniques, just for a bit of, free play counters. We also have our Unbridled Power, just to help clear the board from all those barriers and unisons and things like that. And then, of course, our Vegito Volley Attack, which will be our barrier removal as well for the deck. Now, for the Z deck itself, we have Omnidirectional Beam. You can do this for very late game if your opponent's just flooding their field as well. So you can just minus 25 to all their cards. And then, of course, you've got this extra effect here. If you have 4 more energy, your Cell Max SH with an energy cost of 8 is attacking. You remove this card from the game. The attacking card gets plus 15 in Double Strike for the battle. So that would make this card a 40k double strike to your opponent, which is pretty damn insane. Then we also have, of course, the Cell Max that you have to Z-stack from under your field, your Z extra card, I guess you call it. And it's not bad. It's not the greatest, but it's an option for the deck, which is nice. We also have the MVP for this deck, which is the Z Battle card. Now, if you have a Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 in play, reduce the energy cost of this in your Z deck by 1 and its Z cost by 1. So this will become a 1 cost, 1 Z energy, 15k. And then it has a cool effect where if you restand your Gamma 1, this will also restand, and then this will give this card double strike for the turn. So not only that, but if you have 3 or more energy and your Gamma 1 and 2 cards both get 5k power, like permanently for your turn, which is mad. That means you're going to be on turn 3 swinging for this card being a 20k that you get to boost with a card from your drop. Then, of course, if this one's still on your field, this will restand as well. This will get the plus 5k, so it's now going to be a 20k with the boost here. Then, of course, on top of that, you've got this card that's going to get plus 5k. Then the effects that this card's given to another card. And then, of course, you've also got your 15k here that becomes a 20k. So that also means that this card will become 20k. It is insane. I love this deck so much. It is one of the most fun decks I've played for quite a long time. Very simple to play. Of course, it's a bit of a glass cannon because it's easy to counter, but I highly recommend picking up this deck. Just build a cheap budget option for it, and I'll probably come up with a list sometime soon of what you can do for a budget options of all these new decks. So stick around for that. And then, of course, for the rest of the deck, you've got your Rush Attack, Super Saiyan Blue, Vegeta. It's alright, it's not bad. It's an option for the deck. And then, yeah, you have your side deck options. Now, the reason I put these here is if your opponent is playing a lot of counterplays to you, having Koitsekais can be very handy, and it also helps cycle your deck a bit better. Your one-hit wonders you would replace with your Gamma 2s. And if you're going more aggressive too, then you can end up changing your Koitsekais for the Toppos, because you won't need that many counters in if you're going to go super aggressive. Now for barrier removal, we have 2 Kaioken Gokus. You could also go with a 3-cost Vegeta. I forgot what the name of the card was. It's pretty good, but it's 3 energy, which is a little bit of heavy investment. You also have the 1-off Piccolo. I actually ran this on my first initial build of this list. This card, if you see it, is pretty damn crazy. Just the extra draw and then getting rid of their 15Ks on the field. It's pretty sweet. Then, of course, for the overarm for a bit of removal, if you need like a clear removal, this was just a handy card to have. It's just a cheaper option than the Vegeta, of course, but if you have that one, you can use that too. So yeah, that's more or less the deck, and then we'll jump into your turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, turns 1, play a Dr.Hedo Heroic Brain, or just charge a Z Energy. And then for your turns 2, you want to swing with your leader, search for your Gamma 2s, then play your Z Extra. Then from your Z Extra, you want to play your Gamma 1 in rest mode. And then from your Gamma 1 being in play your Gamma 2. Then awaken, then attack with Gamma 2. Because you're attacking with Gamma 2, you get to discard 1 from your leader's effect and then draw 2. Then use your leader's effect to restand your Gamma 1, which will restand your Gamma 2, and then you get to keep swinging all over again. Then for your turns 3, if you lose a Gamma, no stress, just play another one of your Gamma 1s for free, and then the Gamma 2 is cheap and easy to play anyway. But start by attacking with Gamma 2, so you can draw from your leader's effect, then play a Gamma Z battle card, swing with both the Z and the Gamma 1, then once again, use your leader's effect to restand Gamma 1, which will restand your Gamma 2, and the Z battle card. Now that the Z battle card is restood, it now gets the double strike. So don't forget all your other cards will get the plus 5k, which is just nutty. And then swing with the Z battle, use your SR, the Gamma 1 and 2 Heroes mission, use its activate battle, giving the card an extra 10k, and then of course on the play, it will give the other card a plus 5k. So that's another 15k onto your double strike. So you're going to be swinging for a 35k double strike with your Z battle card. If you're losing your Gammas too fast, try to save some of your Gammas in your hand, so that way you can always replace the ones that were missing on your board, because that is something that is easily to be missed. Then on your turns 4, you have a lot of options. In option 1, play an omnidirectional beam, play Cell Max, swing for 40k double strike. Option 2, if you see your Magenta in hand, use your Z Extra as effect to discard Magenta from your hand, and then play your Cell Max Z Battle. Option 3, just play your ultimate and clear the field. That's an option as well. And option 4, rinse and repeat your Gamma Destruction and just go wild on your opponent. And at least you get some idea now for the options of what you can do for this deck, because there is so many ways you can play around with this deck. And a little bit of tips for the deck as well. The 5-cost Gamma is great when you know you're up against a yellow or a green deck, as you can still deal 1 damage even if they try to counter you. Your Koitsekai is also a great option when you know you're up against a lot of floodgates and just toppos and things like that in general. Your barrier removal is your ultimate and your Vegito in general for the deck. And try to keep some Gammas in hand so you can use them as replacements. Use your Gammas, which will allow you to boost with cards from your drop to help charge your Z energy. And you want to do that as soon as possible, that way you have your defeating demons live a lot sooner. And that's more or less the deck. So, I hope you like it, subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching. Peace. Links to the deck will be in the video description.